Hello, my name's Mike and I'm from Access Irrigation Limited. Today we're looking at compression fittings, fittings designed specifically for underground supply pipe. We use Polythene fittings and they're available in various configurations: elbows, straight connectors, different size of pipe, or even the same size pipe. Pipe to threaded fittings, and they're in male threads and female threads as well. And they also do tees, that's pipe to pipe, and they do various sizes of different pipe configurations, and also pipe to thread, useful when you're taking pipes off a supply pipe, for example for pop-up sprinklers or border sprinkler takeoffs. Okay, so how do they go together? Well, let's take one and strip it down so we can see exactly the inside parts of the fitting. For this we'll use a straight connector. So in this case it's a 32mm pipe connector. So we take one end off. We'll have a lock ring, a white grip ring, and then inside a seal. Now with this particular type of fitting, the seal is removable. Some have them locked in. You'll notice that on the O-ring that goes inside, it's not actually an O-ring, it's a D-ring. If you have a look, it's got a nice shoulder onto it. The beauty of that is when you actually put the thing into the fitting, it locks itself in and enables you to push the pipe through without twisting it or resisting the twist. Which obviously makes a better seal. You'll see inside you've got the stop obviously for the O-ring, but you've also got a stop for the pipe, so there's no danger of pushing the pipe in too far. So we put that in there again. The grip ring obviously grips the pipe and has some teeth in there, and you'll notice it's got a taper. And that taper corresponds with the taper inside the actual lock ring itself. So when you tighten the lock ring down, what that does is grip onto the pipe and stop it pulling out. That locks in there like so, and then the ring fits on so. There's a couple of ways of fitting these. You can either fit them with stripped down, just like I've showed you, or you can do a quick way of doing it. And what we'll do is we'll do both ways of fixing them now, just to give you some idea of how they all go. First thing we need is some pipe. Now obviously I've said this is a 32mm fitting, so we need obviously a 32mm pipe. Remember, you can use it on soft wall above ground pipe, but it's much better and much more mechanically sound if you use it on the hard wall type pipe. So I've got some pipe here. Now we don't you know, when we're doing irrigation, you don't need a massive lorry load of tools, but there are certain tools that you are going to need. And as we go through, I'll try and highlight the ones that are essential and would be very useful to have. The first one is a pipe cutter. Now, what you don't want to do is when you cut any pipe, you don't want to create great amounts of swarf, because when you turn that system on, that swarf can go inside the pipe and block things like valves and other things as well, and sprinkler heads, etc. So you want to make sure you create a nice clean cut. Now we do this with this set of pipe cutters here, very sharp, so be very careful, but these will do up to 32mm in diameter. So all you need simply do is you just push it down onto the pipe and it cuts through. And you'll notice once you cut it, it's a very nice clean cut. No swarf on the inside or the outside to cause any problems later on. But if we were to use that, it's got quite a sharp edge. So if we push that past that D-ring that we looked at earlier on, what might happen is we might take a little bit of a shaving off it, and then that's going to interfere with our sealing. So what we then need to do is chamfer the edge, and we have a chamfering tool just for that. Again, be very careful when using this, and all you need to do is give a couple of turns, and there you get a nice leading edge there, nice chamfered edge. And again, the swarf is on the outside. Make sure before you do any fittings that nothing's gone in the inside there. Okay, so now we've got our chamfered pipe. How do we fit it? Well, let's do the longer way first of all, which is the way to make sure that the fitting's properly secure, and then we'll do a quick way afterwards. So again, strip down the thing into its components. Make sure the O-ring or the D-ring is secure inside there. Take your chamfered bit of pipe, put the long lock ring on first of all, and then the tapered ring or the grip ring. Make sure the taper goes towards the taper of the lock ring, and then simply push in, and as you're pushing in, twist, and it'll go right down up to the stop. Now I'll do that again because I want to show you something. You notice how I struggled a bit there to get that in, and that's because it's all dry. There's no lubrication at all. So what we would recommend, especially on the larger size pipes, you do use a bit of lubrication, and don't, for goodness sake, use anything like washing up liquid or anything like that. Always use the proper lubricant, because you don't want to degrade the pipe in any way or the seal. So a little bit of lubrication on there, put that on the O-ring and a bit on the pipe as well. And then you'll notice when we go this time, it makes a vast difference when we push that in. Like so, locks in. Always make sure that's gone way past the seal and up to the stop. Don't just put it up to the O-ring, because you'll have problems. If it does leak, you won't have any extra bit of pipe to push in. So once you've done that, make sure that goes in right up to its stop, and then put the lock ring on as well. Now you don't need to use a great big pair of Stilsons or a great big pair of grips to tighten these fittings up. Once that's gone past the seal, then that is the seal effectively, and all you're doing by tightening this up is tightening that grip ring onto the pipe itself and just making sure it doesn't come out. What I tend to use is a C-spanner, quite simply because it doesn't mark the fittings, so you don't get gouge marks or grip marks or jaw marks on the actual fitting itself. So what you do with that is just simply nip it up, and that will give you a really tight seal. Not only will it be waterproof, but it will also be mechanical pull proof, if you see what I mean. So that's quite safe to be buried underground, and I'd be quite happy with that. Now I said these were quick fittings. In other words, they're really quick and easy to fit. Now so far we've stripped it down, and that's not really practical in most situations. If you're outside, for example, you'd only be stripping the fittings. So I'll show you another way now that you can do to make it much quicker and easier. So let's strip it down first of all into its various components. So we'll take the pipe out, we'll take the lock ring, the grip ring, and our seal is still in here. Whenever you're doing these fittings, always make sure the seal is still intact, because sometimes you may knock it out and it may fall on the floor. Okay, so this time we'll assemble or part assemble the fitting. So obviously our O-ring is in, or our D-ring, our grip ring is in, and also our lock ring is on. And just put that on about one thread. Then make sure your pipe is well lubricated and chamfered, and then you simply push it in like that. If you use that method, always make sure that you've actually gone past the seal and up to the stop. That is most important. But as you can see, that's much quicker and easier to do. Once you've experienced it going up to the stop, you then know what it feels like to do that, and so it's much easier to do. So there you go, plastering fittings, extremely easy to work with, very quick and safe to use, but also one thing I forgot to mention is, because that O-ring does seal on the outside of the pipe, always make sure your pipe is in good condition where you want to seal it. Okay, thank you.